Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 365. One full year. This is the last day of the first year of the Ukraine war or special military operation in Ukraine for the 23rd of February. Let's start off with Transnistria, or the badly drawn banana. So the badly drawn banana over here, in case you guys do not know, is also known as the Transnistrian Moldovan Republic. That's actually the official name. Transnistria is the other name. And so the Russian Defense Ministry have made a statement regarding further statement regarding this situation or conspiracy or developing situation over at Transnistria. They report a significant accumulation of Ukrainian military personnel and hardware close to Transnistria, Ukraine border, and a deployment of artillery at firing positions and a build-up of UAV flights by the Ukrainian side over Transnistrian territory. I have to say, take this with a pinch of salt because no idea. We have no idea whether this is true or not. And I also saw a message or information by some Ukrainian officials saying that there's a need for Ukrainians to redeploy forces over to Transnistria in case of instability, and reportedly is already sent or some sort, but I cannot verify that information, so no, I did not put it in. And this issue I will cover it in a separate video because this is actually very lengthy. Moving on to the southern front, we have Ukrainian Sukhoi 25 shot down over Kizomis. So this Kizomis is the first time I actually encountered this town name. So very interesting because the Ukrainians previously have never been able to penetrate the Russian lines to here. Moving on to the Zaporizhia line. At the Zaporizhia line, we do not have any fighting reported across the entire line of Zaporizhia. And moving on, the situation in Mariupol, some say the explosion that I reported previously might not actually have happened. So a very interesting turn of events. So no idea whether this is true or not. No images or photos have came out about the explosion in Mariupol. Moving on to the Vuhledar region. At the Vuhledar region, the Russian forces report to have attacked Prashestivka, and they are also attacking in the Dacha area west of Mikhailske towards Vuhledar. And according to War Gonzo, they reported in their latest report, in their morning report, that the Russian forces with fire support attacked the area of Prashestivka as well as the Mikhailske Dacha towards Vuhledar. However, we do not have any other information about this from any other sources. Russian Defense Ministry simply reported shelling in a variety of positions around the Vuhledar region. So they hit Vuhledar, and they also hit this railway station at the Ugles-Borovnaya railway station, which is actually here. So Ugles-Borovnaya railway station is actually a railway station at this South Donbass coal mine number 3. And then there is also shelling reported at Vodian as well as at Bohoyevlenka. Bohoyevlenka's previous name is called Dobrovoye. So which this name you cannot actually find it on Google Maps. So unless you write it in I think in Russian, I think you can able to find it. So you can see that shelling is reported in the entire area here. So maybe they are trying to soften up the Ukrainian forces, or maybe the entire Vuhledar offensive is meant for this purpose, to force Ukrainians to gather their forces in this region here, and then put them into harm's way, because if they are able to come into this region here, then they'll be within artillery range and they can be wiped out. That could be a very pro-Russian point of view. Moving on, at Novomikhailivka we have fighting reported over here, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Over at the Marinka region, for the detailed report around this region, you can actually check out the quick update. Otherwise, the Russian forces actually attacked Pobjeda, and based on information from multiple sources, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, SITREP, Maps, Deep State UA, they all reported a massive Russian offensive against Pobjeda. And according to Ryba, they actually reported that the Russian forces managed to break through into the town of Pobjeda, and this operation is supposedly a surprise attack against the Ukrainian paratroopers or airborne troops. And as per this information of the report, they were fighting inside the village. However, the next day, in the latest information, Ryba reported that they can confirm the troops did indeed break through the defense and went into Pobjeda and actually pushed out Ukrainian forces out of Pobjeda. However, the Ukrainian forces shelled the Russian forces in Pobjeda, then forced a Russian withdrawal away from the town itself that they actually captured. And not on top of that, all approaches is mined with anti-tank mines and petal mines, which is the small mine. So situation, so it's actually not exactly easy going for the Russians, even though they capture, but they can't really hold it. And fighting is reported at Marinka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, and Ryba reported fighting at the southern part of Marinka, as well as the northern part of Marinka, where the Russian forces attack from the south. Oh my god, it becomes so ugly, and from the east. And in the northern part of Marinka, the Russian forces attack in the northern area, and so this is continuation of the fighting that was over here, and they're actually also attacking northward towards Krasnohorivka in the north. So this is Krasnohorivka. So that's all from the Marinka front. Moving on to the Pisky region, or the Avdiivka Front actually. The Avdiivka Front. At the Avdiivka Front, fighting is reported at Nevelske. According to Wargonzo, there's fighting reported between Vodian and Pervomayske, according to Deep State UA, and there is fighting reported at Vodian, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. There is fighting reported from Spartak towards Avdiivka by Wargonzo. Fighting reported at Kayamka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. And there's fighting reported at Vesely, according to Vosmedis 2022. And there's fighting reported at Novobakhmutivka by Deep State UA, and Wargonzo reported an advance towards Kreminna. So all the different sources allow us to actually draw up the picture of overall picture what it looks like. With attack over at Nevelske, the Russian forces, because the Ukrainians believe that the front line is actually here, or actually that's what they report. So the Russians are actually currently attacking this area. They are also trying to attack Vodian from Spartak region. They're actually attacking upwards towards Avdiivka, with attack towards Kayamka, towards Vesely, and they are attacking at Novobakhmutivka and towards Kreminna. So the Ukrainian defenses managed to hold all the way, because they really have very entrenched lines around here. I put it the wrong color, no wonder it looks so weird. Yeah, so far the situation is still very stable for the Ukrainians. Despite all these attacks that we are looking at, the lines are holding up. Moving on, at the New York region, we do not have any fighting reported around here, and that also shows how strategically unimportant this area here is. Moving on to the Bakhmut Front. At the Bakhmut Front, we have no fighting being reported in the southern area here. Over at the Ivanivske region, there is fighting reported near Ivanivske and Delievka. I put it in the wrong color, oh my god. So okay, so actually I was wrong. So there is fighting reported at Delievka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Come out. Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported fighting at Delievka as well as at Ivanivske. We do not have any detailed information about the situation around here. Over at Bakhmut region, at Bakhmut city itself, there is fighting reported southwest of Bakhmut, with the Russian forces moving westward from the breakthrough that they had around here. They are pushing westward. There's fighting reported on the eastern side, and that's all in terms of what we do know. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry simply just said fighting at Bakhmut. We have geolocation of Wagner forces and their boss Prigozhin, who went on a tour on the eastern part of Bakhmut. He actually walked over here, and the geolocation is done by Chris 759 on Twitter. He's also have a Telegram channel. Anyway, so he made 7 geolocations. So most of it is actually around here and around here. So he definitely have a lot of balls, if you ask me, to willing to come to this front, because the Ukrainian forces with artillery can easily strike all these locations rather easily. And on top of that, yesterday we already reported there was a missile strike by an anti-tank guided missile on the Russian position here, where the Ukrainians struck it. So it is possible for Prigozhin to actually get himself killed by walking around here. Moving further up north, where the big breakthrough was, the Russian forces have captured Bakhmut and Yakhine. So for the Bakhmut information is extremely reliable, because Suryamat's Deep State UA, Ryba, and the Wagner official statement came out and confirmed that Bakhmut has been captured. Fighting is now reported into the eastern part of Dubovo-Vasilievka in the Dacha region around here. There's also fighting reported around the junction here, with the Russians probably pushing out from this region here between Yakhine and Bakhmut. The Russian sources reports that fighting is still ongoing in Yakhine. However, based on Deep State UA, the pro-Ukrainian source, their report is that Yakhine has been captured by the Russian side. And given that this information actually comes from the pro-Ukrainian side, it's actually extremely highly credible. So which is why I gave the capture for the Russian forces, which means that the Russians are now pushing out of Yakhine and continue to advance. The main implication for the fall of Yakhine is that now the front line between the road that go through Koromove to Yakhine is merely around 3 kilometers. So it's very, very near, which means that the Wagner forces that captured Yakhine can choose not to attack into Bakhmut itself, but instead they can actually go straight for the road and cancel out the road to not allow the Ukrainians to use this safer resupply route to resupply the Ukrainian forces within Bakhmut. So we do not have any information about the fighting around the non-ferrous metal plant that was previously reported by Ryba, that the fighting was around this region here. We do not have anything here in the past day. Moving out from this region to the western part of Vuhledar region, fighting is reported at Zaliniansky according to Ryba, which is here. So the Russians are actually pushing out now, and they are also fighting reported at Vasyukivka according to Ryba. And the word they use is actually a Zaliniansky Vasyukivka line, which means the entire defense line here is currently being raided by the Russian side. So it's not just the town, but it's actually the entire line here is currently being challenged by the Russian forces. So not sure if they have a bigger ambitions of the Wagner forces here to do more around here. At Fedorivka, there is fighting reported here according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, and there is fighting reported at Vasily. According to Ryba, they say that the Ukrainian forces actually made the counter-offensive over at this region here. However, Wargonzo reported that the Russians are on the offensive. So at Vasily, the Ukrainians are actually attacking, but Wargonzo say the Russians are attacking. So let's see. I have no idea though what is actually happening. So moving on, there's nothing at Sperne. All the way at Bilohorivka in the Siversk Front, there is again the Ryba reported in the same report as just now as Vasily that the Ukrainians are on the offensive. They are currently attacking. However, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported that the Russians are attacking Bilohorivka. So it might be both, might be true. You know, both information can be true. Both can be attacking each other right now. Maybe at different point of Bilohorivka. So moving on into the Kreminna front. At the Kreminna front, we have fighting reported at Dibrova, Yampolivka, Terny. So these three locations currently are seeing fighting. Terny is reported by War Gonzo. Russian Defense Ministry reported Yampolivka and Dibrova. So fighting is reported at Dibrova, Yampolivka, and Terny. We do not have any information of Ukrainian counteroffensive in this region. So the Ukrainians are simply still on the defensive around here. Moving on from the Kreminna front, all the way up north, there is fighting towards Makiivka, reported by War Gonzo. There is a geolocation of Russian forces at Novovodyan, which is here, which actually confirms that this Novovodyan is under Russian control. Further up north into the Svatove front. At the Svatove front, we have fighting reported at Stemakivka, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. There is fighting reported at Novoselivsky, according to the Russian Defense Ministry as well. A geolocation by Deep State UA of Russian attack in this region here, which actually shows that the front line is actually more or less correct. The Russians are currently still in the pushing for Novoselivsky. And there is bombardment reported at Boristove, Pishane, and at Kreminna. So the Russian forces, to sum up, the Russian forces are shelling these three settlements regions, and then they are attacking Novoselivsky and Stemakivka. So the situation pretty much is status quo. With the Russians has been doing this for some time now. They'll be shelling, and then shelling also. Then they try to push this, and sometimes they try to push Stemakivka. So basically that's it. The Ukrainians just simply hold defensive lines and haven't really changed much around here. I've done a detailed oh no, that report was scrapped, so forget it. Moving on to the Kupiansk front, we have no reports of fighting around the Kupiansk front or the Vreshna region around here. Very quiet about this front over the past 24 hours. And over in Russia, we have a Russian Sukhoi 25 that crashed at Vuhledar, at this town here, Vuhledar. The Russian plane was flying back from their operation in Ukraine and suffered some technical issues. This is also repeated, I think, by Deep State UA, I think. So no, it's not really a shoot down. It's some kind of malfunctioning, or maybe it got shot over the airspace in Ukraine and then it just failed after it was trying to go back. The pilot died in the crash. So somewhere around here. And that's all. So this is the summary for the day of 365 for the 23rd of February. This is one full year of fighting in Ukraine. May all the people who died in this war rest in peace. And I'll see you in the next update.